Um, but anyways, I am back. Hopefully. Oh, I don't know. I'm something. Um, and the title today is very specific. No one is going to save you. I was having this argument. Not argument. I don't argue with people. I'm not better than, but I don't argue with people. I was having this discussion about how we're on our own, bro. Like, we are on our own. And I tend to stray away from talking about politics socially, right? Like socially or even let me get this correct real quick. Let me get it right. Let me get it right here. For good reasons, avoid talking about politics or avoid talking about anything that's, I don't say controversial, but anything that's not in line with my brand. And my brand, what is my brand? I don't know what my brand is. So for the moment being, I'm just gonna talk about whatever I've been talking about in my private life that I think are worth discussion. And I think it's good topic to talk about. And I think the broader discussion will benefit other people. Which is why I call the stream No One Is Going to Save You. No one is going to save you in these United States. And I'll try my best to stray away from like the politics and talk about being independent in the mind instead, right? Um, I I fear that the vision that is happening or around the globe. I don't want to say around the globe. Let's just stick to the U.S. In the United States of America, it's either you left or you right, Democrat or Republican, and sometimes that strays you from having meaningful conversations with people. Because even if you make a good point, they are less likely to concede to that point just because it doesn't align with their beliefs or their thoughts or, the people that they are rooting for, the political party that they align with, right? Which doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, where's your common sense? Like, you don't, everything that somebody feeds you, you don't just ingest it and believe it to be true. Like, for example, whatever I'm talking about right now, if something applies to your life where you think it will benefit you, you analyze it. Everything that I'm going to say, not everything is going to apply to your life. Some of it you can reject. You are allowed to have disagreements. You are allowed to disagree. Everything that you're being fed, you're not supposed to eat it. Anyways, I think more or less my goal is to say more. I think it's happening more and more. Like Gen Z needs to be. I'm. I guess fortunately and unfortunately, I am a Gen Zer. I am part of the Gen Z generation, right? And I think that our generation is heading that way, but I think we need to be more. We need to align more with independent thinking. Like we are independent. Like we're not falling for this left or right stuff. We're not falling for, oh, this person said they're gonna do this, so we're gonna believe that they're gonna do this. I hope that's the way we're heading, because at least that's the way I feel. I I do not partake in the okay left or right. I objectively or try to objectively analyze everything that is being fed to me. Everything that either the political left or political right is telling you, you are allowed to decipher for yourself as an independent. Because I agree with some of the left and I agree with some of the right. And some of the stuff that they're pushing out from both sides is corruption. It's misalignment and it's not in the best interest of the American people, if I'm allowed to say that. For example, and this conversation is coming from or stemming from us having me having a conversation with a family member regarding, you know, who do you trust? Who do you trust in a moment like with everything that's going on around the United States and with the Charlie Kirk and the Erica Kirks of the world and Trump and Nancy Pelosi, so forth and so on. If you keep up with politics, that is. And I think the answer is pretty simple, at least for me. no one is going to save you. I'm sorry to tell you, it doesn't matter who you vote for, no one is going to save you. Nobody. Not Trump, not Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, not Barack Obama. Nobody. Like, you, first of all, you cannot trust all these good smelling, nice suit wearing, fancy car driving, mansion living millionaires. You are voting, literally voting people who are fighting for the best interests of their donors. Like, quite simple. Like, all these good smelling, good talking, mansion living people, when they get in there, they're not fighting for the best interests of me and you. They are fighting for the best interests, and at least that's my opinion, for the best interests of the people who donated to their campaigns, for their friends and their families. Sometimes what happens is we get lucky. Some of the, stuff fall down and we happen to benefit from the crumbs. But the majority, from my opinion or my analysis, is that, everybody that gets voted in, they tell you this big speech and they tell you all these promises and they tell you they're going to change the world, right? They're going to change the US and make things better. And it's all a lie. Like, you can trace a lot of it to being lies. And if they do pass a law that is favorable to you or favorable to the country, it's because the majority of the donors, most of the time, aligns with that view or they want that law to be passed. It's not because it's beneficial towards the general public. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not just, at least in my head, that conversation made a lot of sense, and I want it to continue making sense. So, uh-oh. Make sure that I'm still streaming. All right, bet. So, yeah, at least for me, it's a little bit easy to say no one is going to save you. But how do we change that? I think we changed that a few ways. One, I don't know exactly how we would do it, but like put some kind of limitation on how much money can be donated and from who and from what group. Maybe you have like a big pot, right? And then we have a thing or a case where if there are 5 candidates for president, we take the pot, divide it by 5, and everybody get the same amount of money to run their campaign. May the best man win. Because all these contributions, all these donors, and all these people donating money to a certain candidate because they favor that candidate is leading down to corruption, is leading down to people not doing what they said they're going to do for the population. And they're just saying things just to get voted in. Also, stop electing these old people, man. Like, I think we need a term limit, age limit, even. Like, I can't work at least certain places. Like, by the time I am 80 years old, my opportunities to work are gonna be limited because I'm older. Employers, for the most part, they're not supposed to, but they look down upon older people. If you are a little bit fatter or less fit, I should say, they look down upon that. Like, it's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might think you're lazy, or if you're old, although you do have experience that matters more. You have more experience, but you are less likely to be still striving or be innovative and still having that hunger. Because you're like 80, you're ready to retire. Like 60, 70, if you are 80 and still working, something might have went wrong and you're just ready to retire. Um, uh, um, So where am I going with this? Everything that you are doing, you are on your own. If you are waiting for the government to come and give you a handout, which is a lot of I don't want to say a lot of people, right? Which is not normal. A lot of people have the expectation that the government is going to change things for them. They are waiting around for the government to change things for them, make it easier, soothe their burden. And unfortunately, for you and I, that is not the case, and that won't be the case for a long time. I don't think so. We need to, because in my opinion, it is because of the two-party system. Like, it's either you vote left or you vote right. Nobody is voting independently, or nobody is trying to kick these people out when they make promises to the nation and they're not keeping it. And I think that for me, I'm not big into politics, but just because I had that conversation, it just brings my mind to that conversation to say, yeah, man, like, we need more independent people. Like, fuck the left, fuck the right, be independent. Like, form your own decisions, form your own morals, like, of course, the environment that we live in, like, me living where I live influenced me. Because the people next to me, I hear them talk about certain stuff. The videos that I watch, the content that I watch influences me. My friends, they influence me. That's environment, right? But at the end of the day, you still have to go home. When you come home, you have the decision to make. All the stuff that you learn from your environment, do you take all of it to be true? Or do you analyze the ones that are true to you or that are beneficial to you? Because you don't have to observe, like, you don't have to absorb all of the things from your environment. I just wanna say that, and in case you are wondering why I say this, right? Every politician, literally, not I don't know about every single one, but for the majority of politicians, they are all like just filling their pockets. I don't know the numbers or the statistics, but I see the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumer's, the Donald Trump's, the Donald Trump family, the Bidens, from what I know of, and how much money the Trumps are making off of crypto because of his presidency, and how much money they are making overseas because they can make more favorable laws for that. The big beautiful bill, some of the provisions in that, although I'm not about to read that to you right now, some of the provisions in that are beneficial towards the donors instead of the people. I'm not anti-rich. Like, just talking right now, this sounds like I'm anti-rich. I'm not anti-rich people. I think people should be rich. If you make this product, this iPhone, you should be rewarded for it, which is why capitalism is great. We reward people for being innovative. We reward people for having ideas. We reward people for creativity. That's great. But at some point, these people have to start contributing their portion, because we are all fighting for resources. You are fighting for resources with me, although you don't know it directly. The people in Africa, they are all fighting for resources with the people in Asia, so forth and so on. Every single person on earth, we are fighting for resources because there are a limited amount of resources, and everyone is growing and growing and growing. The earth at some point, well, I guess that could change because Gen Zers are having less and less kids, and that could mean that the Earth population decreases because of constraints in economic conditions, so forth and so on. But if the Earth keeps growing, let's say hypothetical. Let's take this hypothetical. The Earth keeps growing. We are at 20 billion people on the planet. We're not gonna all of a sudden just have more resources. It's just gonna be the same amount. It's finite amount of resources. Like, we can just go create more resources, but we can create more people, more consumption, print more money, so forth and so on. We are all fighting for the limited amount of resources that exist on Earth. And all of the billionaires, they are hogging all of it. Close to trillionaires at this point, $100 billion. They are all hogging all of it. And guess what? At the end, the people at the bottom, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do when there's 20 billion people and there's literally not enough food for us to eat, not enough water for us to drink, not enough work. And if the vision that the government or billionaires have for AI become true, we're not gonna have enough work because all of it is gonna be taken care of by AI. Unless I'm wrong. I am open to being wrong as well. But at what point does it become, okay, I understand your political views. I understand that you're left or you're right. But when are we going to make the decision that benefit the whole, the group, instead of the people who donated to you and your friends and your family? Because I've asked people that I work with, most people now, they are shy to talk about their political leanings or their political views because they don't want you to know that they support Trump. Like, for me personally, this time around, I didn't vote. I haven't voted because of George Carlin. I don't know what that joke is, but he's a very good comedian, right? I don't want to butcher his joke, but he made a joke regarding not voting. People are always trying to like push you into like, oh, you have to vote, you have to vote. And the way he analyzed it is like, no, I don't have to vote. I don't vote because I want to complain, motherfucker. Like, like this is the best we have. I gotta find that clip now because let me find the clip. Let me find the clip real quick. George. All right, here it is.
Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here, like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope. Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation and lead the way? We don't have people like that in this country. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers.
I want to let him finish. I don't want to interrupt the clip, but it's going to explain what I mean. And when you're watching this video, think about it in the terms of having a job. That's the way I was thinking about it, at least analyzing it, whatever. When you have a job, when you're working, we all have jobs. We all have to work a 9 to 5. I'm not a fucking billionaire. Like, we all have 9 to 5s. When you are working a job, it is in your best interest to find out how much the person next to you is making. You might not ask directly, but find some way somehow to bring the conversation about how much money they're making, just to make sure that you're not getting underpaid, especially if your experiences align. And I think more and more people are straying away from having political conversations with each other and just being honest. Like, if you ask somebody who they voted for last term, they're less likely to tell you that they voted for Trump. They're gonna tell you, oh no, I don't do politics, I don't follow politics. Why not? Because it matters. It matters to you, it matters to me, it matters like about what happens to our world, what happens to our education, what happens to our kids, to our economy. Like a lot of like younger people, or at least from the people that I know who are like, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, are not having kids, even though they are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're not having kids. They're instead choosing to travel. For example, I know countless people who are doing the exact same thing. And it's because we're not having the conversation as to why that is. Like, why are we doing that? Let's finish watching this though.
With lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. On the other hand, who did not vote, who did not vote, who, in fact, did not even leave the House on Election Day.
That's right.
I'm in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year, you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is, when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, basically, that's the gist. Like, the more honest that we are about the people who we are electing to lead the country, the better. The more, in my perspective, the more that I can see Timmy at the bar and say, "Hey, Timmy, would you like to talk about politics?" Not exactly like that, but play along with me. Like, the more open that we can have a civil conversation, like we're just talking about how rainy it is outside, about how messed up these political systems are. The ability for Pelosi to do insider trades, allegedly, the ability for Donald Trump to set his family up to make billions of dollars are all messed up. It's not good. It's not how the system's supposed to work. And all these billionaires being able to essentially donate billions of dollars to presidential hopefuls or, campaign hopefuls or senators and mayors and so forth and so on, the worse the system becomes. Because at the end of the day, if I have a lot of money, what I will do in this system is donate a lot of it, because a lot of it is going to come back to me. Because when you donate, let's say $100 million to Donald Trump, you think that's just for the sake of donation? No, bro, nothing is free. This is America. We already know this. Nothing is free. And when somebody donates $100 million, they're expecting that money back. It's an investment. And whatever law that Trump is signing, he's not looking at it. And I don't want to just mention Trump, whoever, Obama, whoever the heck was president, whoever, whatever the president is signing, it's not just, he's not thinking about, oh, I'm going to sign this into law because it will benefit the people of the United States the most. Nah. In my mind, when these people are signing these laws, they are thinking, okay, here's donor one, 100 million. Donor two, 50 million. He could have done better, but I'll take it anyways. Donor whatever, 10 million. The president is signing the law to benefit the people who donated the most money, in my perspective, or in my opinion. And then, as you go down the line, somebody like me who didn't vote, I'm just left with the crumbs, just picking up the pieces. You too. Like, I don't see how we fix all of it besides, one, having a big pot. Like, if people want to donate, that's okay. Also, companies. Like, I have so much I want to dig into this. Companies. I don't think companies should. There is a law that companies are essentially people and they're allowed to be represented. So that's why companies are allowed to donate a whole bunch of money towards presidential hopefuls or campaign hopefuls, right? We should stop that. Like, no, that's a company. People who want to donate, or if companies want to donate, we can form some new committee, some new governmental branch, right, that says, okay, cool, you can donate, but for every dollar that you donate, it's going to go into this fund. And we're going to keep this fund divided by 5 or divided by 4, whoever's, the primaries are. Like the 5 finalists or the top 2. We're going to give them this money, make it last. Use it, may the best person win. And it's not basically on how much friends you have and how much billionaire buddies you have, how much influence outside that you have that will make you president. Because this whole thing is like a business, bruh. Like, it's like a business. Like, you need investors to invest into you getting into the White House. And when people do investments, they want returns. Simple. Like, if you make an investment into President Trump has to make a return on that investment. Otherwise, that investment isn't worth anything. And that's one of the most basic principles of finance. How much the present value of money. Like, if I'm spending $100 million today, I am making a calculation, or I'm making an assumption that this $100 million today will be worth more tomorrow. At least that's the way I think about it. Like, you're not just putting out $100 million just because. So, with that being said, Yeah, just a pool of money. I know this is not gonna happen, but that's just my idea, anyways. A pool of money. If you're running for president, it gets divided equally, and you cannot take any more extra funds from anyone else. That's it. That's all you get. No outside influence, none of that. And this one is a little tough. I don't know exactly how because it's anti-capitalism. Because as you people naturally wants to do better. Like I know I do, which is why I'm taking all these freaking certs and I'm going to school and I'm doing YouTube videos and I'm doing etc. People naturally wants to do better. They want to improve themselves. As long as you have the energy and the capability of doing so. Which is why capitalism works, right? We let people be creative. We let people have streams. We let people open businesses willy-nilly how they like. But at some point, like, because we are fighting for resources, we gotta say, we probably gotta cap how much resources one person is allowed to have. Because if they have, 80% of the resources, they're basically running the world. Like they're basically running my lives and your life and so forth and so on. Like I don't even have 0.000000000000001% of the resources that exist in this world, right? And somebody owns like 20% plus of it. Like at some point we gotta say, okay, this is not normal because what happens is when they own all these resources, these people, even though you don't elect them to be president, they are technically presidents because they are donating those 100 millions that I keep talking about. And, they have the shoulder next to the president. They influence the president. They can make the president do things that they simply want the president to do. So, I don't know. I'm gonna lay off on this one, but I thought it was worth a conversation at least. Like, and of course we can go into Pelosi and the Trumps and looking at. There are videos out there about how much money they've made and how much, I guess, illegal money they've made based on campaign contributions or based on other factors. But that's a waste of time to me, personally. Like just watching those videos because nothing is going to change. Like you having somebody like Mitch McConnell almost dying on stage, there should be automatic firing. If you do that at work, you're fired. Like you're too old. Like you can't even stand to give a 10-minute presentation. How am I? Who? Like somebody like Joe Biden, like you get that old, like Trump, like no, bro, like you gotta go. And I hope the Gen Z generation just takes a different route. Like, okay, the system is not working, but which part of it is not working? Not just for your political leanings, but for the United States of America. What's not working for the United States of America? Because I mean, it's cyclical. It's cyclical. Once Trump gets out, I'm sure a Democrat will be president, right? Because people are unhappy with the state of things, and they want somebody that would change it. And then if they're not happy again with the Democrat that becomes president, a Republican is going to become president. And it's going to repeat and repeat and recycle. And nothing changes. And it's just like the people at the bottom, we keep going further and further to the bottom. We're not making any real progress for real. At least the middle class. Like people are just getting poorer, earning less, so forth and so on. I don't know what it's worth. I think having at least a tingling into somebody's mind. Whoever might be watching this, like that one person who gets to view this video. If you don't know what you are, great. Like if you don't have a leaning, even better. But if you are Democrat or you are Republican or I don't know, it's only two. Take a real look, like especially if you are younger, take a real look around. Like how has these parties benefited us? Just those two. I think the better move is just to be independent, and call for actions that I don't want to say correct the system, because there will always be flaws in the system, but there are some that are just so egregious that we have to fix. We have to find a way, like some middle ground, to fix these issues because if they continue on, like, I don't know how this turns out for the U.S. Honestly, honestly. Um, but anyways, oh man, there's the other thing that I want to talk about, like as far as like earning less. At the beginning, I talk about how I read this book, The Psychology of Money. It's one of my favorite books that I read this year. I've learned so much from it. I can't stop advocating for it. I don't even know the person, Morgan. If you haven't read this book, I encourage you to get it. It's it's not just about money or finance. It's about like you can when I read a book, I don't just read it. For example, this is a lot of things that has to do with managing money or your personal finance. I try to apply it to other aspects of my life. And one of the aspects that I can apply it to is this: compounding. Usually when I think about compounding, the effect of compounding, I think about money. Of course, we all do. Like compounding, you make an investment and each dollar that you get back as interest earns more interest. You are compounding money on money, money earning interest is basically what compounding is. But think about compounding in the way of life. This little video that I'm doing today, I can make another one tomorrow and it will compound my effort. 10 years from now, somebody will view this video. And if hopefully I'm still alive or the earth still exists, I am compounding my efforts towards whatever I'm trying to reach, right? Even if you're trying to build a company or you're going to school, for example, every day you do a little homework. Every day you do a little study. You are compounding your efforts towards graduation. You are compounding your efforts towards learning whatever you are learning. And that's where I got this. That's where I made the connection. Of course, I understand compounding. I think a lot of people do. But that's where I made that connection. Like, a lot of life is compounding. And it is also just so happen to be true for money. A lot of your efforts should be compounded. Like, you shouldn't aim for short terms or the quickest outcome. You should be aiming for 10 plus years of compounding your efforts over time to see a bigger return. Like each video that I release should or doesn't. And also some of these things, like even though if I stop, I try to restart, for example, making these videos or streaming. Sometimes you start and then you stop, you know what I'm saying? Like you can still continue on to compound your efforts. Because we're not perfect. Things happen, life be lifing. Sometimes you have to stop and restart again. And in my opinion, that is completely okay as long as you can continue to compound your efforts. And the second thing that I learned that I think is worth mentioning is life is a game. The more you start analyzing, like I've been playing this game in my head all last year, analyzing people who I honestly I don't believe they knew they were being analyzed, because that's how life works. Life is a big game. Think about everything that you do in terms of a game. Some games you decide not to play. And in some games you have no choice but to play. So in some games, hold on. In some games, you have no choice but to play. For example, my significant other, right? She doesn't really, like to work. She like, man, if I could, I would just stay home and not work. Like nobody, I don't enjoy waking up every day going to work. I feel you, but that's just one of the games that you're going to have to play. Like, and I keep telling her, to apply for another job and so forth and so on. And she, in her mind, she's like, I hate the butt kissing that you have to do to get a job, or I hate the process of getting a job. That's the game. Like, when I'm applying for a job, I look at the descriptions of that job and I make my resume match that job. That's the game. It's all a game. Like, even if I match 70% of the requirements, I'm just gonna go for it because I'm just playing into the game. In some other games, you just don't have to play. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have any big example. Like, friendship. Like, let's just say friendship. Like, if your friends are, moving in a way that you do not agree with, that's their game. You don't have to play into that. You can play your own. Like, if somebody is being disrespectful to you, you don't have to be disrespectful back. That's their game. Let them play that. And the more I analyze life like it's a big game, the better my perspective become. And this is kind of crazy, but like I've been thinking about like life being a simulation. And it might be true. Like we might be living in a freaking simulation, bro. Like I know it's like cookie cutter, like, what I'm saying, what are you talking about? But think about it. Like we could be living in a simulation. Like if you start thinking about everything that you do as a game, you start realizing like, oh man, I don't always have to react or I don't always have to play into what they're playing. Your manager is playing a game. Your wife, your husband, whoever, they're playing their own game. Like they have their own strategies in their head. Your best friend, your coworker, your mom, your dad, they're all playing their own little games. They probably had you because it was part of their plan and part of their games that they're playing. And even like I love The Wire. Like that's one of the shows that I've been watching, and it's so beautiful because it shows you all the aspects of life. Like it shows you like the politicians playing the political game, right? Of getting them more power, even if it's something shitty that they have to do. But you know what they say when they do something shitty? It's part of the game. Drug dealers, they have to kill their friends because whatever reason, disloyalty, or they have to, let somebody committed a murder and, there's a whole bunch of people in the car. Somebody had to take the charge, and the boss can't take the charge. It's part of the game. Sometimes it's just part of the game. Like if you're not getting a raise at work, part of the game is for you to leave. You feel me? Part of the game is for you to leave. Apply somewhere else, bruh. Like go somewhere else. That's it. Like you're not working to please your manager. You're working for money. If it wasn't for money, you wouldn't go to work. Well, at least that's the game I play. I'm not playing the game of, of course I'm gonna do my job properly. I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna do all of the part of the game that I'm playing to make sure that to make sure that I am aligned with the job and making sure that I am making proper investment and making sure that I am continuing my education. That's my game. The manager's game, when you ask them for a raise and they don't give it to you, their game is trying to get them a bigger holiday bonus because the less they spend, the more money that the company retain, the bigger the potential of their holiday bonus is because some company, you get the bonus based on how much money you are currently making. The CEO, whatever, HR, everybody next to you, they're playing their own game. So I've been little bit, I don't know if it's correct or incorrect, whatever, but I've quite literally, I'm sure you probably heard of people are smart, of game theory. I've been looking at that as well, trying to understand it more in depth. Like, because life requires you to play some games. Like others, you don't have to play. You don't have to play into. You don't have to play into every opportunity. You don't have to play into every game. When an opportunity is afforded to you or given to you or like just handed to you, you have to ask, what game are they playing? Like for example, I'm trying to start my company, right? And it's in terms when you're trying to think of terms of marketing, right? I started thinking, okay, here's the game I'm trying to play. I'm trying to get these clients in so I can get revenue and expand my company. Great. What do I need to do to understand the game that the client or the customer I'm trying to acquire wants to play? What is it that they want? What game are they playing? Because if they own a company and they're hiring thousands of people, it's likely that they want to save money. And if my services can save them money, save them time, or save them resources, how does that look? where do those people show up? Like, where are they? How can I build trust by understanding their game? Let's take a look at game theory, because I think that explains a lot about a lot of the topics in this book, about, like, you know, how everyone is basically playing their own game financially, like in the sense of finance, because this book is about finance. Financially, it's about the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Is the example. Like, when your neighbor, you see your neighbor always buying clothes, like they wear suits every day. That's because that's part of their game. Like, you don't know what they do for a living. They could be working somewhere that requires them to look good every single day. And because they look good, they earn a bigger amount. Which is why I honestly stopped buying like fancy clothes. That's not part of my games. Or start buying like clothes in general. Like, I'll just wear this freaking black t-shirt every day, because my game is I don't care. I realize that I don't really care. Unless I'm stepping out somewhere nice, I do want my appearance to look good. I want to show up like a professional. Of course, I'm gonna dress like a professional, because that's just part of the game. But otherwise, like, if your neighbor go out and he buys a AMG, I don't have to buy one. I don't care about having an AMG. Just so I can, like, I don't know, show off or whatever. Like, I don't have to go and buy, a Gucci belt. For what? Somebody who buys that, they're probably playing a different game. They're probably, I don't know, they like the brand. They're trying to attract a mate. They have the money, disposable income. And you, on the other hand, you don't have that disposable income, but you see it. Maybe you like the brand as well, but you see it. And you think, oh man, if I have a Gucci belt, I could probably look like this person. I could look like him. I'm gonna play his game. You at that point, you are failing at your objective, because that's not your game. I'm gonna stop saying the word game shortly, I swear. But it's the more you analyze life, like through the lens of a game, the more sense it makes. I swear, at least for me, the more sense it's starting to make. Like, when you have a partner, ask yourself, what game are they playing? What's their game? What's their end goal? Try to understand that. Like, their action, trying to understand, are they trying to manipulate you? And you don't have to play into that game. If you see that they're trying to play manipulation, and we're talking about in terms of relationship, wife, husband, girlfriend, whatever, you don't have to play into every game that they're playing. Sometimes, they're trying to be quirky, and sometimes they're trying to be funny. Sometimes they're probably trying to get a rise out of you. You don't have to play into that game. And okay, let's leave it right there. Because let's look at what's up, Frog? It's been a minute, man. How you been? I mean, I don't have the stream thing on. I'm new. I don't know. I know how to do it, but I haven't had time to put the chat on the screen. Let's look at game theory. Hear me out. Let's look at game theory and understand why it's so important to look at life in the terms of you playing a game. And I'm not getting any money for this. You see, I have freaking 0 subscribers. But if you are into reading, I'm not a big reader, bro. Like, and we're talking about compounding. I learned that this year as well from this book, Compounding Your Efforts. I started reading for 30 minutes every day. Like, rain or shine, whatever is happening, if I wake up early or I wake up late, I read for 30 minutes. That's it. Or 15 in the morning, 15 at night. That's it. I'm not trying to be a superhero. You know what I'm saying? I understand the effects of compounding and understanding if I don't read nothing at all, comparison to somebody who's reading 30 minutes a day, they are reading 10, 12 books while I'm just, scratching my nuts. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. Good read. Very good read. And there's so many other things that I've learned from this book that I could talk about. But let's first go watch Game Theory. Sorry, I know I keep going back and forth, but let's watch Game Theory and what it is.
Let's assume Sarah promises to give Matt $100 if he runs a mile in less than 7 minutes. In this case, everything depends on Matt. He can train until he consistently succeeds, and when he's ready, he can show Sarah and get his $100. Game theory doesn't study situations like this one. Instead, it studies situations involving more than one participant and in which not everything depends on one person. For example, in the game of chess, the other player's moves continuously influence your strategy. That would be one example of a situation
this
studied
kinda
by
boring.
game.
I want something that's more informative. Or something that's less.
Game theory as we know it today came about in part because of one man's interest in poker. This man was not just your average man on the street, he was a mathematician, physicist, and computer scientist named John von Neumann. His goal was loftier than becoming a better poker player. According to a Forbes article, he was only interested in poker because he saw it as a path toward developing a mathematics of life itself. He wanted a general theory, he called it game theory, that could be applied to diplomacy, war, love, evolution, or business strategy. He moved closer toward that goal when he collaborated with economist Oscar Morgenstern on a book called The Theory of Games and Economic Behavior in 1944. The Library of Economics and Liberty, EconLib.
Damn, this is too long. I want something that's shorter. And something that gets to the point.
Game theory is the study of how people or groups make decisions in situations where their choices affect one another. It looks at how individuals or organizations try to achieve the best outcomes for themselves while considering what others might do. Game theory is used in many areas like economics, politics, and biology to understand and predict decision making. To understand game theory, let's look at some simple examples. Imagine two friends deciding whether to clean up their shared apartment. If both clean, the apartment is tidy, and they share the effort. If only one cleans, the other gets the benefit without helping, which creates tension. If neither cleanse, the apartment stays messy. This is a situation where their choices impact the outcome for both. Another example is a group of companies deciding whether to lower their prices to attract more customers. If all lower prices, profits drop for everyone. If one company lowers prices while others don't, the first company might gain customers, but the others lose. Decisions in these scenarios involve predicting what others will do and planning accordingly. Game theory operates through several core concepts, including strategies, payoffs, and equilibrium, which together form the basis for understanding strategic decision-making. One key concept is the idea of strategies, which are the plans or actions available to each player in a game. For instance, if two neighbors decide whether to contribute to building a shared fence, their strategies could include paying their share.
I don't know. This is really boring. But anyways, in gist, or long story short, this, if you want to, I guess, look into more into game theory, look into it. But long story short is, what game are you playing? Play into your game. Like, don't fall prey into my game. Whatever I'm telling you right now as well, apply it to yourself. Like, how can you apply it to your life? Don't just take my words for it. That's not how it's supposed to work. Not every advice from somebody, random guy on the internet, is good advice. Like, you know what I'm saying? How can you actually apply this to yourself? Or even because it's in a book doesn't mean that it's good advice. Like, although these people, they do a lot of research about before they write these books, right? But yeah. And also the other thing I learned is not trying to be perfect. And I learned that this year, not just in terms of, what this book. Not trying to be perfect, bro. Like, if you've ever taken the DISC personality test, you know that there are different people who overanalyze things. I'm one of those people. I want everything to be perfect. But I'm trying to change that mindset, which I've been working very hard on. Like, even for streaming, that has stopped me from streaming because I didn't know what topic to talk about. I wanted to be perfect. I want everything to come out precise. I want to analyze every single thing that I do, every single word that I say, if the thumbnail is perfect. Like, now, because I've learned that information, I understand that I have to leave room for error. Like, I'm not perfect. Even if I try to be, I can't be perfect. You're not perfect. Like, be easy on yourself. Be forgiving to yourself. Like, we make mistakes. We're supposed to make mistakes. That's how you learn. Me telling you how I'm moving or what I'm doing, it's not going to help you, bruh. You have to go out there and make that mistake yourself. Like, I could tell you about thousands of mistakes that I've made, or like, very 10 most important mistakes that I've ever made in my life. Sure, you'll hear it, and you could probably, use it for your next time you encounter a similar situation, but your situation is going to be different. And how you act is going to be different. Your past experiences on how you respond to that stimuli is going to be different. So whenever you make a plan, leave room for errors. Like, my plan was to continue streaming and nonstop. Guess what? I stopped for a whole year because life happened. Life happened and I couldn't stream. I didn't have the space to stream. I didn't have proper speed internet because I live in the middle of freaking nowhere. I just couldn't stream. Okay? Leave room for error. But that doesn't mean you stop. Like, life should be getting real out there, especially when you're broke. The biggest problem in the world is being broke. When you're broke, like, every little tiny problem becomes so huge. Like, it makes it to the point where, like, you can't even freaking breathe. Like, seriously, like, I know people who are making like hundreds of thousands of dollars that are still broke because of how, that's different though, that how they manage their money or circumstances back home or circumstances that they deal with in general, okay? But this is not about other people, but I just want to leave that one. When you are making a plan, leave room for errors, bruh. Leave room for errors. Don't be perfect. I know, often we get down on ourselves because things are not going how we want or how we planned out in our mind. In my mind, I was supposed to be rich by 21. I was supposed to be multi-millionaire by 21, okay? I'm about to be like 29 this year, and guess what? I'm still not a millionaire. In fact, far from it. Like, but guess what? I still gotta continue. I still gotta live life still. But anyways, I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this book. I plan on rereading it, and if I find anything interesting more, because every time you reread a book or you re-listen to a song, I always discover something new, especially with Lil Wayne. Like, that was my favorite artist back then, and every time I listen to one of his songs, I've discovered something new, which is cool. But every time I reread this book, I've only read it once so far, but I plan on reading it again, and I hope to learn something new. Maybe I can share with you all. But I want to switch gear a little bit and talk about career. Because fortunately and unfortunately for me, I don't want to say a career guru, but I've had enough experiences in switching jobs because from very early on, I understood that part. I didn't have a name for it, or I didn't have a system behind it, but I knew very well that I couldn't bargain with my manager without any sort of leverage. For whatever job that I have or had, I always make sure that I perform well, I do my duties very well, or exceed them, right? Find more opportunities at work, trying to do the extra, but the moment that you ask for a raise, their managers or corporations in general, they're always gonna give you praise. Oh, you're such an amazing employee. They're gonna lick your ass, tell you everything. Well, I shouldn't use that. They're gonna give you all the praises in the world, right? But when the moment comes for them to show you how well you are performing, because at the end of the day, we're all there to work for money, not for praises. Oh man, it's not in our budget. You gotta come back. It's been a hard year. I don't care. Like, I understand, but I don't care. Like, if I need a raise, especially I work in the IT industry, I'll just go get another job and get 20% more on how much I'm making. And I don't want to say it's easy, but for myself, I've been able to do it to the point where, I have jobs every 2 or 3 years, just because when I try to tell my manager, okay, it's around that time, player, I need that 20%, I don't want to say 20%, like 10%, keep me happy or something. Give me like a little 7%. They're trying to slap you up with a 3%, which barely makes any difference because inflation is growing faster than that. Like 3%, like you're still trying to have me eat ramen noodles for the rest of my life. I'm just gonna go somewhere else that's gonna pay me for the experience that I already have. And I'm bringing this conversation up because I've been having a lot of it with my brother. my sister, and my girlfriend. Let's start with my sister first. The situation that she's in, she's working. She's in some nurse thing. I don't really know exactly what she does, but she's in some nurse thing, and the company that she's working for, people are leaving because she's in Florida and Florida doesn't pay. People are leaving because the pay sucks. And she'd been applying for a few months now, and she received an offer that is a better offer. It's like a few more dollars than the company is gonna give her, the current company is gonna give her. And she called me and she was wondering, Mr. Guy who has had so many jobs, what would you do? And I had to break it down to her, and I realized that a lot of people, maybe people even watching this right now or listening in right now, might be facing some of the same issue or might be having some of the same problems per se, right? And in terms of, I'm so comfortable at my job right now, like I can't see myself leaving and go do another job and starting all over again, and all the anxiety that you have to deal with, like when you're transitioning to a new job, meeting new people, meeting these people at work too, they're not your friends. You could have a few acquaintances that you are cool with, but I want to make it clear. People at work, they're not your friends. How many times have you left a job and stayed in contact with the majority of people that you would call friends? Maybe you stay in contact with one or two, and that's rare. Sometimes not at all. Maybe you still have their numbers and you text them once in a while. That's if they respond. But, I told her that no matter what happens, your current company could fire you anyways. And they're not going to give you any raise or anything. But here are the positive sides of taking that new job. One, you're getting paid more money, which is why you started applying for anyways, because you wanted to get paid more. You are increasing the amount of experience that you have, because this new job, for whoever it is, you're going to learn something new. It's going to be a new piece of technology, a new methodology that you didn't know about before, a new challenge. You are adding into your stack. You are compounding your experience. Maybe after 2 years of doing the job, you go and get another one. And that one is going to have more things for you to learn, more experience. People are afraid of change. People are like literally afraid of change or afraid of changing jobs. And why I always tell myself, I get anxious as well, but I get anxious to start. I get anxious to learn the environment. I don't get nervous because I doubt my ability to perform well at that job. I've never, since I was way, way younger, I've never doubted my ability, even if I didn't know half of the things in the job. I always tell myself, look, so what? This is not the first, I'm not the first person to have done this. If somebody else is doing it, I am positive within myself that I can, give me 3 months that I can capture it and do it, at least meeting the expectations. And just trying to convince her of that, just trying to have that mentality. It doesn't matter if you leave the job today or you leave tomorrow. Always have that confidence in your mind or in yourself that they could throw you in a desert and you'll be able to survive. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to do what you got to do. But here's the other one. I'm just gonna go for example purposes. For myself, who wants to start a company, right? And being afraid of the unknown for me is in the owning company realm is stuck in my brain. But I am at the point of recognition, of recognizing, that's a problem. In fact, Brendan told me this a while ago. I think it was this year, actually. This year, early January, maybe February 2025. Last year, 2025. I used to be in the mindset of I didn't want to, when it comes to YouTube, I always see these gurus that are selling these products as fake. That's not something I want to do. I don't want to sell courses when I don't have expertise in this topic. And a lot of these gurus are selling these topics that they're not expert in, right? They're just cookie cutter, copy and paste ChatGPT, selling you information that you can very easily find by yourself, right? And his rebuttal to that was that change your mindset on how you view it. Simple. right? It's a simple, I guess, statement, simple enough. But everything that you're doing, just if you are facing a roadblock, just change how you view it. Like, I used to think about, wow, I'm gonna start a company. I'm very young, and in the IT realm, people needs trust because they are giving you a lot of trust with their data, because you would have, as an IT admin, you have access to the company's entire data. You would have to earn that trust somehow, right? And in my head, I was like, man, I'm too young. Like, I don't have like any customer, but how do you get any customer without having any customer to have proof that you have had customers and that you know what you're doing? And that's the mindset shift that I needed to have. Well, let me show them that I know what I'm talking about. Let me show them that I can earn their trust and that I can do this. Because otherwise, if I'm approaching them cold, just being very young and having a meeting with them and then just, them asking me how long I've been in the industry, what I've been doing, and so forth and so on, it might run, at least in my current perspective, it might run into some roadblocks. But currently, I see it different. Like, I'm gonna make videos about what I know. Like, I'm gonna show you what I know. If you want references, here's my YouTube channel. Here's the blogs that I wrote about this exact topic. Go read it. I know what I'm talking about. And I think that's just more changing how you process things and how you view things can have a very meaningful impact on your life. Like, and I think it all comes back full circle to this book, honestly, to compounding your efforts. Like, I couldn't just wake up and try to start a company today if I didn't put in 10 years of work, back then. If I didn't, swap 4 jobs last year, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't do that because I couldn't have earned those experiences and learned about, oh, I'm really good at this. Like, I can do this really, really well. And in fact, I've done it for other people for free. Why not make a company out of it? Or I'm doing these extra things at work that I see gaps in other companies that I can provide. So it all compounds. Whatever you're doing right now, if it's meaningless, of course, if it's just watching YouTube or watching me stream, maybe it's just informational until you start putting action behind it. But whatever you're doing right now, if it's like small, it could be even small potatoes, you know what I'm saying? You go into the gym for 15 minutes a day, and you actually, go for 15 minutes, and you mean that you're going to the gym, you're just gonna crack out 15 minutes. And the rest of the day, you could do nothing else. You could just watch TikTok, whatever. Terrible idea, by the way, but stick with me. 30 minutes, an hour. You go to the gym for an hour, you put your all into that hour, you leave, whatever. You do whatever else you want to do. Same thing for work or whatever you're doing. If you're studying, put that hour into the study, bro. Like, after the hour is over, go do whatever else you want. Whatever you're learning in that hour, do an hour tomorrow. Again, do an hour next week. Do 30 minutes next week. It's not useless all of a sudden, because you didn't do it back to back to back to back to back, or because you didn't do 5 hours in one sitting. No, like, every day that you do 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, it compounds. Like, it adds value to your life down the line. Even though you don't have the vision or the cognition to see it, it will. Like, these videos or this stream, I don't have the vision. I don't have the view to see, like, how this will impact me in the future. But I am certainly positive that, somebody else in the future will view this, maybe even if it's 10 years from now, and it will probably have a positive impact on their life. I don't know, but it might, because I've watched a video from somebody from 10 plus years ago that did the same thing, that like, oh, wow, it clicked. When was this book written? Just for example purposes, I'm not sure. But this book was written long time ago, and it's still having an impact on me that I can share with others, that can have impact on other people. 2020, 6 years ago. Like, just compound your efforts, change the way you view things, and all of that. I think it all counts. I think that's a first good stream. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a first good comeback. I'm not a everyday streaming person. I wouldn't say that. I think I'll just yap. I think I have a lot more value that I can add towards leadership stuff, like career dev type stuff, because I've put in my 40 hours, bro. Like I really have. Like even though I am younger, I've navigated the corporate world from different companies and spoken to CFOs, CEOs, you name it, down the gamut. Like I've spoken to them and with them with confidence, like multiple of them, and understand their game, because that's where I'm trying to head. Like trying to and I've recognized that their game, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like they're playing a different game. Like when you're in the CEO or whatever level of executive that you're in, you're playing a different game than the people who reports to you are. So I can provide a lot of value and a lot of different perspective on that of what I've learned. And, I've even interviewed the CFO for the company that I currently work at now, just so I can better myself and better understand what I need to do to prepare, what I need to start doing today to compound over time to prepare me for, being an executive. Maybe I don't happen to make it, but I'll land somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'll land somewhere. I am positive of that. But anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you for your generosity, for watching, for tuning in, for supporting. Happy New Year's. Hopefully this year is more stable and I am able to provide more video, more content, because Frogs told me it's been so long, and it has really been so long. But yeah, I look forward to continue building with people based on my experience or the things that I am learning, not just shit that I'm learning from ChatGPT. And that's the other thing too. Like you are gonna have to put the effort in for whatever it is. Like I could share the information with you, but if you're not putting it into practice, unfortunately, it's all useless. Like you might as well have not listened to the video at all. But anyways, thank you for watching.